I appreciate all you guys being here on time. I usually just wait a few minutes if that's okay to see if anyone rolls in late. So I'm still letting some people in the room. Mr. Rob, what's up, bro?
What's up, Harm? How you doing?
Good, man. I got a new one for you, Rob. Something you haven't heard.
Nice.
I created it in the middle of the night.
It's an interesting time to come up with something.
Always. My best thinking in the middle of the night. It's called burning the midnight oil.
Nice.
It's a very old analogy, I'm assuming, because I don't think anybody burns oil for light.
Dating yourself.
Yeah, I know, man. I'd say before my time for sure. All right, everyone. I'm going to start right here with us. I appreciate everyone here that's on time. If you see me just a little distracted in the beginning, it's only because I'm trying to get other people to come in. That's one of those meetings that I have to allow them entrance. But regardless, you're here on time. That's all that matters. And today's cool, man. Today I got something prepared for you guys that I'm excited to share with you. I think there's going to be a lot of value for your time that you're investing here with me, because I know Saturday morning at 9 a.m. isn't prime time to kind of sit through some random guy talking in his living room trying to teach you guys a thing or two. However, I do believe in what I do and why I do it. And my hope is that you get some value out of this, because I'm not here to waste your time by any stretch of the imagination. So my name is Param. I know we have a few new program participants. Let me just tell you a thing or two about me. I am one of the people that helps manage the Ohio House, Buckeye Recovery Network, Chadwick House. I happen to also be one of the owners of the company. So this company means a lot to me on multiple different levels. I've been there for over 8 years. And for those of you who care about recovery or sobriety or abstinence, I have been clean and sober since June 13th of 2008. So unless nothing weird happens between now and next Sunday, if I don't pick up a drink or snort a drug or take a pill or anything like that, next Sunday I should be celebrating 13 years clean and sober, which is pretty freaking dope. I also do have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. So I have some professional experience, some personal experience. I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, and I'm really passionate about personal development and helping not only others, but myself kind of always evolve and change into another version of ourselves that we're striving to become. So this talk that I have, I created it last night, and it wasn't specifically for you guys. So, you always say, I'm tired of hearing the same stuff. It's all basic shit. This talk is actually going to be presented. I'm going to do a version of this for the families after this, but this talk is actually created to be presented to executives, the CFO, the CEO, the executive director, clinical director, program director. This is something that, I do personal development for larger scale leadership teams. And so you're getting exposed to something like that right now. And this one happens to be about problem solving, and how the hell can you fix some problems. So hopefully you get some value out of it. And again, if your cameras aren't open, that's okay. Just please keep the passive audio going on so you can hear what I have to say. And if your camera is on, then, thank you. So the first thing starts off with, it's 7 observations about problems. Okay. The first thing is just this random quote. It says there's 3 kind of people in our society. All right, obviously we have more, but for the sake of this argument, there's 3 types of people. One is those who can't see or refuse to see problems. So you can think about your sober living. There's just some people who can't and won't just accept the fact that there's problems in their life and around them. Second, there are those who see the problems, but because they personally didn't create them, are content to blame someone else. So there's problems around them. They see them, but they're like, fuck it. I didn't do it. So it's someone else's fault. I live in this apartment complex, and I walked by in our hallway and, there was like a trash wrapper there on the ground from a candy bar. I walked by it the first time. I didn't pick it up. I was like, what an asshole. Someone just dropped this over here. And, I walked by it another day. I'm like, what the fuck? No one's picked this thing up. Oh, what the hell's going on over here? When I walked by it the third day, I bent down, I grabbed the wrapper. I went and threw it in the trash can. I wasn't the one that dropped it down, but you know what? There is life. Sometimes we have to clean up the wreck for other people if we want to take personal responsibility. And the last one says, those who see the problems and though they didn't create them are willing to assume personal responsibility for solving them. So the goal is to become that third version of evolution with this stuff. So when we talk about problems, here it goes, my friends. If you just walked in right now or just came into the group, welcome. What we're doing here today is talking about problems, some insights on them, and also how you can actually solve your problems. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. So number one, it says problems are everywhere. Everyone has them. So if you're in recovery, and for those of you who just came in, also I'm in recovery too. So when I first came into the program, when I came into the rooms, when I came into places like sober living, when I came into residentials, outpatients, my life was riddled with problems. Nobody ever walks into treatment, recovery, sober living on a winning streak. If you are here right now, you are probably experiencing some type of financial problem, some type of relational problem, some type of health problem, some type of communication problem, some type of legal problem, some type of educational problem, vocational. I don't know what it is. You're experiencing some, hopefully not all of those, but some of you are. So just know that every single person that's also residing in those homes with you right now, if you're watching this in the sober living, is also experiencing those problems. Now zoom out a little bit. Every human being that's living in your city, in your community, in your state is also experiencing problems right now. Maybe someone in their life is fucking dying. Maybe they just lost the job that they really needed to support their family. Maybe they realized some bad news that they were hoping to get and it didn't come fruition. Maybe their loved one, someone cheated on them and their whole life just turned upside down. I don't know what it is, but I want you to know that problems that you're experiencing, my friends, are not personal. They're not just happening to you. They're happening to everyone at all times. And if you're in recovery without being aggravated, you're not in recovery. Like this shit shouldn't come easy. Solving problems, going from where you are to where you want to be in life is not going to be easy, my friends. If anybody ever told you the recovery process is easy, they're straight up lying to you. And I'm somebody, like I said, in recovery, works in recovery, owns a recovery place. It's not easy, right? So I just want to start off with that being straight, honest, and transparent with you because we're too adult, we're too grown up to have this false expectation of like, oh, my problems are going to be easy to resolve. The next one says problems don't disappear if they are ignored. Okay, so I always talk about the avoidance of pain produces more pain. Problems will not disappear if they are ignored. So the measure of success is not if you have a tough problem to deal with, but whether it's the same problem that you had last year. So for many of you want to think, the problems I'm experiencing right now in my life, did I have them last year? If the answer is yes, the problem isn't the problem. It's your approach to solving the problem. Right? Some problems do last a few years, don't get me wrong. But if it's a problem that could be resolved in a day, a week, a month, and it's lingered on an entire year, the problem is not the problem. It's how you're approaching the problem. And some people, by the way, same problem, different decade. Right? It's not, we keep pushing it and avoiding it. And the next one I really like because it says, we tend to lose a correct perspective of problems when they are our own. So there's this old adamant that says, what's the difference between a minor and a major? Well, a minor surgery is surgery done on you. A major surgery is a surgery done on me. A minor problem is your problem. A major problem is my problem, right? Whenever something is ours, we tend to blow it up disproportionately out of proportion because it's ours. But when it's yours, who gives a shit, right? So just know that some of the problems you're going through in life, one of the best advice I can give to anybody is be able to like X out. Like imagine like you're watching your life and just imagine zooming out of your life. Maybe zoom out 1 year, maybe zoom out 5 years, maybe zoom out 10 years, and then look down at the problem you're going through. If in a 5-year, 10-year life timeline, if that problem doesn't even appear on your timeline, I'm telling you, it is not a problem. Some of the things that you experience in sober living, you blow it up out of proportion, and it's such a temporary moment in time that you're making it seem like a permanent kind of problem. So that led me in the middle of the night. I literally made this at like 2 a.m, right? So it took me into the next thing right here. It's the next observation. I think this is where the most value is, So if you catch anything from this whole thing, please catch this part. It says our perspective of the problem and not the problem itself determines our success or failure, right? Your perspective of the problem you're going through. So what is a right perspective? That problems are solvable. What is the wrong perspective? That problems are unsolvable. What is the right perspective? That problems are temporary. What is the wrong perspective? That problems are permanent. The right perspective, problems make us better. The wrong perspective, problems make us bitter, right? The right perspective, problems challenge us. The wrong perspective, problems control us. I'm going to put this slide up when we're done with this too. The last one says problems stretch us. When we stretch, we actually grow and we evolve. The wrong perspective is problems stop us. Okay. So again, everything you're going through, and I'm not talking from a high horse over here, man. I lived in sober livings. I managed a sober living for 10 months as a house manager after I, got clean and sober. I know there's a lot of shit that goes on in early recovery. I just know it. But I also do know that everything you're going through right now is temporary, but sometimes we make stupid decisions on a temporary emotion, and later on we get full of that regret stuff that I always talk about. So the next observation that I have for you guys is the word problem. This is interesting. So the word problem, when you look at the Greek origins of it, okay, it's got the word pro in it. So P-R-O, the word pro, and it has the word balein in it. It's B-A-L-L-E-I-N. Okay. Probalein is actually what the Greek Latin roots of the word problem are. And what it means is it actually literally means to push, to drive, to move forward, right? So a problem, the Greek origins of it means to push forward. So what does that tell me is if you're going through a problem today, and if you're able to get the right perspective of your problem, and you're able to overcome your problem, by definition, you will be moved forward from your current state right now. Problems move us forward in life. When you overcome them, it moves us forward in life. And problems never leave us the same. Think about any problem you've ever overcame in your life. It's never left you the same. You've always grown from the experience. I don't care what the hell the problem is. You always grow from the experience. And this next one, observation 6 that I have, there's only 7 of them. And then we're going to get into how the hell do you solve these problems. Number 6 is the size of the person is more important than the size of the problem. Obstacles will appear large or small, whether you are large or small. You can easily determine the caliber of a person by how much opposition it takes to discourage them, right? That last part's really big for me. It's you can easily determine the caliber of the person by how much opposition it takes to discourage them. Like how much opposition, how much resistance, how much friction can you handle before you break? Some of you have a high emotional distress tolerance. Some of you don't. Some of you, something doesn't go your way. You're like, fuck it. It's not worth it. Some of you, someone doesn't, acknowledge you the way you want to be acknowledged. You say, screw them. Some of you don't get the job that you want to get. You say, well, F them. How much opposition can you tolerate? How much distress can you tolerate before you break? And this is a really big factor right here, guys, because the whole point of going through the recovery process in the early stages, there's so much damn resistance. Because why? You're about to embark and embrace in a whole new way of life. Who the hell wants to do that? Right? Who the hell wants to do? Who wants to say, you know what? I'm going to give up everything that I got to embrace this new life that I have no idea what the hell is going to happen. The fear of the unknown is real, and not just for addicts, alcoholics, man. Nobody likes change. We would rather die in something that's familiar than live in something that is unknown, right? Human beings would rather die in the familiarity and the comfort. At least they know what's going to happen than to embrace in a life that they have no idea about. So the last observation that I have, and this one is, I think, my favorite. I came up with it. I was pretty happy with it. I figured out the size of your problems will likely be congruent, so it matches the size of your plans. So if you make small plans in life, you're gonna have small problems. If you make big plans in life, you're gonna have big problems. So changing your life around, going from one part of the country to another part of the country is considered by many a big plan. Leaving your living situation, your apartment, going into sober living is considered a pretty big plan. Changing jobs, changing locations, changing relationships, changing from drinking drugs and alcohol to living a clean and sober life is considered a big plan. The bigger the plan, the bigger the problems. And how much can you take in the beginning stages? I always say any fool in the world can start something, but not many people finish what they start, let alone finish it with integrity and all the way through. Man, I hope you guys all know you're up for a journey, right? I really, really legitimately hope you guys know that. And like I always say, it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to say something corny like it's going to be worth it, but it's going to reveal a lot. It's going to show you a lot about yourself. And whatever lessons you learn in early recovery, whether you stay clean and sober for the rest of your life or not, are lessons that could be applied to just regular life. These lessons about overcoming adversity and facing your fears and learning how to manage your emotions and just being a better person, all that kind of stuff. It's universal, man. Drugs or alcohol included or not included, it's shit that we got to do in life. So those were my 7 observations about problems. So now I got like 6 R's for problem solving. So these are kind of what you can hopefully tap into to solve some of your problems. Number 1, the R is rule your emotions. Okay. I found a good stat here. It said people with emotional problems are 144% more likely to have automobile accidents than those who do not. Now listen to this stat. 1 out of every 5 victims of fatal accidents had a quarrel with someone within 6 hours before the accident. Right? So I'm going to say that one again. 1 out of every 5 people, so that's 20% of all fatal car accidents, when they kind of did a little research to see what happened to them prior to the fatal car accident, they had an argument, a fight with someone within 6 hours before the accident. So I always use the analogy of car accidents and addiction. I always do, because I believe that addiction is one long car accident. When we get out of it, we're like, what the hell just happened? It shows that ruling your emotions could lead to life or death. In our case, it could lead to relapse, not being able to rule them, which for some of you, that relapse is fatal. And I'm not just talking about the fentanyl kids that are watching this, even the alcohol, I know there's some alcoholics here. Alcohol was one of my primary drugs of choices. I'm not ashamed to say it. I don't have to say it was something else. I did have some binges with cocaine and stimulants, whenever I had the money. I did have some love affairs with Xanax. And I did go to detox a few times for pain medication. However, and I did have an overdose with Oxycontin 80 milligrams that I went to the hospital with. However, King Alcohol, don't underestimate that fucker. It's the king of all drugs, my friends. It changes the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you think, the way you act, the phone calls you make, the decisions you make. Alcohol, sneaky, has more deaths than all other drugs combined. They don't want to talk about it because what are those deaths? Fatal car accidents, slip and falls. You ever been drunk and just ate shit? People hit their head against hard objects and get concussions and internal bleeding and die. I have a few alcoholics that are smiling because they, Rob, did that hit too hard? We got Rob and Blake. You're like, yeah, man, fuck. I know. I've been there, guys. No judgment there. I've had. You guys ever have that one that like this part of your face and this part of your face is fucking bruised because you hit a stair? Does that ever happen? Yeah, you fall down and you hit stairs and it's the 2 steps right here. I got a big ass nose, so like it was easy. So yeah, it's alcohol is serious, man. And you mix that shit up with like, benzos and stuff like that. And some people do. It's a cocktail for blackout. And then hot heads and cold hearts have never solved anything, right? So some of you get heated, you get in your dome and you get angry. And at the same time, if you have a cold heart, like you don't give a fuck, man, that's a dangerous recipe for problem solving. It's safe to say that a problem will not be solved in that case. If anything, the problem will increase and intensify. The next one that I have here is Rule number two for problem solving is remember what others can do when you actually ask them for help. So what is not expressed does not exist. I've said that numerous times. Problems become smaller when you face them with help and support. So it says, remember what others can do when that you actually ask them for help. If you're going through a problem and you don't ask for help and you're sitting back waiting for like reinforcements to arrive and you're waiting for people to come help you, you're going to be waiting for a long time. Because the way that this world runs, I'm going to break a newsflash something to you guys. As caring and compassionate and nice some people are, all human beings at all times are thinking about themselves, right? Can they get out of that mindset to listen to somebody else and help them out? Absolutely. We're capable of doing it. But left to our own devices, the way that we're wired, we're thinking about what I need to do to survive, what I need to do to get my X, my Y, my Z, what I need to take care of in my own life, what job I got to go to next, what place I have to go visit. You're thinking about your family members, you're thinking about your own little world. So there isn't like all these people rocking around this world thinking about you. So what do you have to do is you have to do one of the things that takes the most amount of courage. And the definition of courage, and if any of you guys remember, is the ability to take action despite of fear. That's what courage means. Taking action despite of fear. Asking for help is a courageous act. It's also a courageous act when it comes to, I don't like to say men and women and that kind of stuff like that, but society's conditioned a lot of men with that mentality that boys don't cry, you got to be tough, you don't ask for help, you got to pull your fucking bootstraps up, throw some dirt on it, whatever the hell those analogies are that we're taught growing up, that we don't ask for help, we don't get vulnerable. But just like everyone else, man, we need help. We need help. And if you're going through a problem, you gotta get your reinforcements, you got to get your backup. And if someone's not willing to help you, you got to try someone else. It's as simple as that. It's how bad do you want to resolve your problem. But remember, what is not expressed does not exist. It only exists inside your mind with the other 50,000 thoughts a day that you have. So good luck trying to filter that one out. The next one that I have is the R is to refuse to give up. The moment you say, I give up, someone else is seeing the situation and saying, what a great opportunity. So one man's problem is another man's dream. I've seen this so many times, guys, being a person that's in charge of sober livings and treatment centers. You ever notice when someone leaves the house and they're like, fuck it, I'm not getting what I want here. This is bullshit. I'm going to go do my own thing. And whatever that whole realm is that they do. And 24 hours later, someone else comes in the bed and is like so grateful. He's like, I'm so grateful to be in this house. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head. This place is cool. It's just, they're in a completely different mindset. One person's problem was another person's dream. Some of you might be working somewhere. You have a job. You're like, fuck this, fuck that. This boss sucks. This job sucks. And you're kind of complaining while you work. As soon as you leave that job, someone else gets hired that same day and they're leaving, calling the phone, calling their family member saying, oh my God, I just got this job. I'm so happy. I start Monday. I'm stoked, right? They always say one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? So it's the same thing. Whatever problems you're going through, man, refuse to give up until you solve these problems. Just refuse. There is no problem big enough that you're experiencing right now that you don't have the ability to solve. And if you can't solve it, you have the ability to change your perspective on it. Remember, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And there are some problems that you might be powerless with, if any of you, and I hope this isn't the case, but if any of you got any terminally ill family members, you might not be able to do anything to take away that terminal illness. But you do have the ability to change your perspective and support them and support, other people around to go through that problem in a more manageable way. The fourth R that I have here, there's only 6 of these, by the way, so just bear with me. We're almost through here. This is to refocus on the task. So, when we have a problem, we get distracted and we stop focusing. When we have a problem, we start looking everywhere and anywhere besides where the problem exists because, it's just too much to deal with. So concentration is the secret of strength in politics, war, trade, sports, in short, in all management of human affairs. and no problem can sustain the assault of sustained thinking. So refocusing is huge, man. It's we do the whole analogy of, well, there's a squirrel and we get distracted and we go chase the squirrel. Is like, I want you to really this weekend, if you have an opportunity, to write down a few of your problems. And which problems am I talking about? The problems that have been there, not just this week in sober living or this month, as you transition to care, or this 90 days as you're trying to figure out what you're trying to do in life. Find a couple problems that have been there for like a year or two, right? Like some problems that have been there for a year or two. And just remember, no problem can sustain the assault of sustained thinking. Start thinking about solutions. Start asking for help about solutions. Start doing all these things I'm telling you about to kind of see how can you get some clarity of resolving this problem. Because if you continue to avoid problems, they never go away. If you don't believe me, go check the last time you had a toothache. Let that shit go for a while and see what happens. It turns into an emergency root canal gum surgery because you got an abscess infection going to your brain, and the doctor says you're probably going to die if you don't do something about it. You don't believe that happens? Don't deal with a tooth for 10 years and see what happens, right? And some people don't deal with problems for a long time, and that same phenomenon is happening inside their mind, man. It's a serious thing. The fourth one is to rethink your strategy. So some of you, the strategies you've been taking about problem solving suck. Just straight up, I gotta tell you, some of the problems you have in life, the strategies you're going about to solve them suck. How do I know that? Because if you've been using the same strategy for an extended period of time and your problem is still there, chances are the strategy isn't working, right? Einstein says the significant problems we face in life cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them, right? And the second one is, I'm a basketball coach, for those of you guys who don't know. We actually lost our playoff game last week by 2 points, second round of the playoffs, by 2 points in overtime. Talk about like a brutal, fucking painful loss. But so talking about rethinking your strategy, the second one says, nothing wrong with making halftime adjustments. Like if you can actually say, hey, the way I've been going about this problem sucks. It's not performing. Let's make some adjustments. The greatest sport teams in the world make halftime adjustments. And why can't you make a halftime adjustment in your own life? Right? There's nothing wrong with that. If you've been going about a certain thing for a certain amount of time and like you're just not getting the results you want, maybe it's time to rethink your strategy. It's a sign of strength, by the way, to rethink your strategy. It's not like a sign of weakness by any stretch of the imagination. Anytime as a coach, I go in there and we're getting our ass kicked at halftime, or something's just not going the way we drew it out in the game plan. I go in there and I say, hey, full responsibility for this first half. I didn't prepare you guys right. Totally dropped the ball, screwed up. But we got to go out there and make some changes. And here are the changes we're going to make. So it's the right thing to do. And if it happens in sports, man, it definitely should happen in life. The sixth one that I have is to return to the work, man. Just do the damn work. It says, just do the work and solve it quickly, solve it right or wrong, solve it wrong, and it will come back and slap you in the face. And then you got to solve it right. So lying dead in the water and doing nothing is a comfortable alternative because it is without risk, but is an absolute fatal way to manage. It says a business, but to manage your recovery. So get into action, do the work to solve your problems. If you don't solve it right, the problem's still going to be there. As some of you know, it comes and slaps you in the face when you least expect it, or actually sometimes you even expect it to come. But if you solve it right, you get to move forward, right? As a definition of a problem. And for those of you who are stagnating and avoiding it and just laying dead and kind of ignorance is bliss and acting like it doesn't exist, it's a fatal way to go about problem solving, because it's a fatal way to manage your recovery. That shit's going to lead to relapse, man. That stagnation is going to lead to relapse. It's going to lead to some bad decisions. And like I said, for some of you, it's actually for all of us, man. It doesn't even matter what your DOC is. Sometimes those fatal decisions lead to like death. They lead to death, man. And and also, if you have a problem, do what you can with where you are and what you have, man. Just do your best. Just do your damn best. So what I'm going to do right here, it's exactly 9:30. I want to hear from a few people, and I'm going to put up the Let me see if I can do this real quick. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see. Problems. See, there it is. Personal training development program. I promise you, I didn't just make this for you guys. This is going to be trained with some executives. This last slide that I have here, it has the kind of the stuff that I talked about. So sometimes it's helpful to kind of just get a quick reminder. So, the first thing we talked about was the 7 observations that everybody has problems. The second one is what they don't disappear on their own. Third was we lose perspective when problems are our own. The fourth one was right versus wrong perspective. And I kind of went through that whole list for you guys. The fifth one is responded to. When problem is responded to correctly, it moves us forward. 6 was the size of the person versus the size of the problem. And 7 was the size of the problem equals the size of the plan. So the bigger your plan, the bigger your problems. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I embrace problems, dude. Problems are fucking good. They help us grow and evolve. And then there's the 6 R's for problem solving was rule your emotions, right? You got to learn to master your emotions. Remember to ask for help. Refuse to give up. Refocus on the task. Rethink your strategy and return to the work. So let's go through. If anybody has some takeaways, I would really appreciate to hear what you guys got out of this. There's no right and wrong. It's a fun process for me to do that. What do we got, my friends?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
I really like that. No problem can sustain sustained thinking or whatever that was.
Yeah, no problem can sustain the assault of sustained thinking.
Yeah, I just written that down in my notebook. That was a really good one.
Good, man.
I got a screenshot of the what is your takeaway?
Yeah, there it is, man, right there. Yeah, that's I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that you got some value out of that. That's what it is, man. It's all you need sometimes in life is just to get one nugget from something you spend your time and energy and effort on. Now you can kind of go meditate on that statement. Hopefully get some realize that when you're not giving some sustained thinking to something, you're probably going to have a hard time resolving that problem. Thank you for that. What else we got, guys?
When you're talking about kind of the one man's versus another man's treasure, like the position that they're in, just putting that in where you, I don't know, it's kind of just a reminder that, like, just knowing where you're at is a good thing, I suppose.
Actually, knowing where you're at is always a good thing, but I'm happy that it was a reminder for you. And Blake, one thing that you'll notice about me is none of the shit I ever teach is like mind-blowing new stuff. I believe that all good life lessons are actually reminders, because I do believe a lot of us actually have this knowledge and information in us. We just lose sight of it, man. We just lose sight of this stuff. So happy to be a reminder for you. I know you said you have a long day at work. I hope it's a good day for you, dude.
Yeah. And I just moved into sober living where, it's like, that's something different. That's a big step that I took. So, just kind of, just kind of knowing, thinking about how, I don't particularly want to be there, but I know I need to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about being grateful for being there,
Absolutely, man. It's a big step, dude. It's for someone that was living in his own apartment in the local area to go into sober living. I hope, you might see it initially as like a step back, but I promise you it's one of the biggest step forwards that you can take, because here's the thing. You manage your drinking is why I know why you're there. You get your drinking under control. That step back to independent living is going to be a hell of a lot closer than you think it is. But this time when you get back in there, a new mindset, a new way of living, a new way of life, a new experience that you were unable to achieve without taking this step.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's an awesome step, dude. And I'm a local guy too. And I did the same thing. I was living in Newport Beach and I went into sober livings, and it was weird because I'm like, I live here, but why am I in a sober living around where I live? Back when I got sober. But man, it was awesome, dude. It really was. So thank you for your feedback, dude. Have a good day, bro.
Yeah, you too.
Who else we got?
I thought it was really interesting when you went to the like Greek and Latin root of problem. A
Yeah.
really good perspective, different way of thinking of it.
Yeah, to
Of,
move forward, just Google it if you want to. I always, anytime I teach, I always search for Latin roots because it's like it's good to know where the origin comes from. But if you
Yeah.
just put the Latin or Greek, and it'll be much better than I explained it.
Yeah, I just thought that was a really nice way of, looking at problems instead of being, how I thought of them half an hour ago to, something to push me forward and more of a challenge, less of a problem.
That's huge, man. Probalane is what it's called. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I'm Parm.
Yep.
Hey, this is Drew Jimenez.
What's up, Drew?
It's an honor to be sitting in this chair, and a fellow alcoholic said, "Hey, I got this meeting. I'd like you to sit with." And, I try not to refuse a meeting, and then I realized it was your meeting, your group. So, and while you were saying that none of these are like bombshell, original thoughts, I'm sitting there going, "Whoa, whoa." Whoa. Because in my alcoholic mind, I want to just stay in what I know. I want to stay in my little world, and stretching outside of that, it's difficult. It's scary. And you're talking about the right versus wrong perspective. This idea of changing lenses.
Yeah.
I loved what you were talking about, responding correctly. I learned something actually in the rooms that said, just because we're moving doesn't mean we're moving forward.
Absolutely, man.
So,
It's I will tell you this, Drew. I do remember you vividly, and I do remember there was a point when you were at Buckeye. This is probably years ago now. You had a choice to move back. Was it Buffalo, right?
Albany, very good. Yeah.
It was either Albany, Buffalo, Albany, or it was to stay out here. And there was a lot of fear of that next step. And you stepped into the fear and took the action and surrounded yourself with the right people. And here you are today, man. So you're a testament that these problems that we create sometimes in our own level of head can be changed when we change our perspective.
Absolutely.
Good, man. Really good to hear your voice, bro.
Thanks so much.
Yep. Anyone else?
Hey, it's other Drew again.
Oh, what's up, Drew? Boston Drew.
No, I think like I know for me, there was a point in my life where I used to think of like all the bullshit I've been through over the years. I always looked at everything like punishment. Like, oh, this is punishment. This is punishment. My addiction is a punishment for my actions in the past. And I remember the point where I stopped looking at those as things as punishments and kind of use them as lessons to learn from. And while they're not lessons I would wish on anyone, I gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom from, going through that stuff. And that having that change of perspective on those things was like a massive change in my life. And I know that's been a real helpful thing in my recovery, is just to have this being able to see things differently than I have in the past. So problems, you can look at problems as problems, or problems as lessons and opportunities to grow. And we all need growth.
100%, man. It's our darkest nights become our brightest assets. That's something that I strongly believe in. And like what you said right there, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, man. So it takes a while to get to that perspective you're at. I know that's not what you started off on, but it's where you are right now. And it's a good place to be, man. It's a good place to be because it's like a springboard for the rest of your life. Cool. Appreciate you, Drew. Anyone else? Heath, man, what's up, bro?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, y'all.
I think I remember getting you in. When'd you get in? I clicked on something. I wasn't sure it was you.
Yeah, I was going to point out that everybody can mark their calendar, because I honestly cannot remember the last time I've been late for something, but there was a situation that was out of my control that I was attending to. So pardon me, everyone, for being late for this, and thank you, Parm, for your I'll get to hear it again, which is nice.
This is a new one for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. I just, Drew just mentioned it, that we used to have a sign actually in one of the offices. It was problem, and then it was crossed out, and then there was circled opportunity.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I'm overcoming right now, making it. But one of the things that you know, you said as far as switching up your approach or game plans, like if you know losing in the first half and you know you got to adjust to the game, that's a big deal. You know, as far as anything for me that I'm doing, that every situation is going to be a different approach or a different tact, you know, and that's I've been I think getting a lot better on, you know, especially you know from when I first got here to now.
Oh, for sure.
One of the things that I love, I heard from Jordan Peterson. He said there is a lot of suffering underneath the darkness, and I guess the more we shed the light on that darkness, the less suffering there will be.
100%.
So, but thank you, Parm.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. You got it. Anyone else? Any other takers? If not, it's okay. Does sound like you guys got something out of this. I do appreciate it. I know Saturday mornings is an odd time for this, but it also, like some of you said, it helped you kind of change your mindset a little bit going into the weekend. And sometimes that's all you need to have a better weekend. So all that being said, you can count on me next week to do the same thing, same place for you guys. I will be prepared and do my best. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and love and appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys soon. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Parm.
Yep.